So, we all know why we're here. A little bit of accusations thrown around, seemingly false ones. So, now we're back to finish up the rest of NYPL versus Florida. New York with a 2-0 lead. They were looking really strong when they were first playing their game before it had to be paused and rescheduled. But now we're looking at these two teams just kind of trying to finish up the set. Luckily, most of both teams were able to come back in and finish it up pretty quickly, so isn't that exciting? Uh, the game will start just as soon as I get an all clear from the New York side, who are currently waiting on one of their members to come back from doing something. In the meantime, we just kind of get to sit here and chat for a little bit now. During their last showing, when they were doing their actually scheduled match, Florida seemed to struggle to deal with the DPS line of NYPL, among other things. So maybe this will be a little bit of an advantage to them, as now they're coming in. They do have, by looks of it, two substitutions. I'm not sure if Dill Pickle is a substitute or not. I think he is, but Athena definitely is one. I'm not entirely sure if any of the NYPL line had to sub. It doesn't look like it. I'm pretty sure I recognize basically all of them from being on New York. Still just waiting for that last person to join. I'm going to go ahead and message Thrill about it. Alright, so looking at it now, we should basically be good to go. Looking like it, and if we aren't, then we just pause the game. Okay, and now that one person has returned, we're having another one leave. Cool. So now we just kind of get to sit here with these games that are scheduled at kind of weird times. Pretty lucky that I was able to do it. In fact, I really shouldn't be doing this right now. I should be going and doing something else having to do with studying for some of my classes, but instead I decided to take about an hour of my time and help finish up this game, and that is now being greeted with people taking forever. So that's nice. That's a cool thing. That's a cool thing about how this goes. As some people kind of mockingly tell me for saying, you love to see it. You love to see it, except I don't. I hate to see it, because again, I have a lot of things to be doing right now. Just just taking a bit longer. Cool. Cool. Now again, normally, for the most part, I would talk about the two teams and kind of what their standings are, but we don't really know that right now because it's a bit weird. I mean, Florida technically second to last place still right now, uh, and that's only getting worse as again they lost their first two maps to NYPL. NYPL, that middle of the road team, they're hoping to push themselves a little bit higher in the standings with a 4-0, which they are on track to get, assuming nothing much has changed for the Florida side. Some people might assume that now that they do have at least one, maybe two people substituting in, especially one of them being Athena, who does pretty well. Okay, getting that we're ready. Cool. So I'm just going to go ahead and assume that Florida is also ready. But to finish my point, you assume normally that if a team like Florida gets someone like Athena who does have pretty good pop-off moments, that they might be a little bit advantaged. However, you do have to keep in mind that that does mean that they aren't playing with their team that actually knows any sort of their strategies and how to flex onto the heroes that they have set up for some of those strategies. So going into King's Row, we'll see how that impacts them, whether positively or negatively. Now this map will benefit the side of New York pretty well. New York likes playing Pharah. They like playing Hanzo. Polyon currently on the Soldier, at least in the spawn doors, but is a really good Pharah map, at least for taking first. Does benefit both tank lines though. DeKiller really likes playing Reinhardt, but so does Thrill. So as far as the tank battle goes, they're pretty even there. A lot of this fight is going to come down to just how well the side of Florida deals with the Pharah this time around, and they're hoping that Athena on the McCree will be able to deal with it well enough. However, Pharah is really dominant, not only on console, but also just for the Florida or the New York team as a whole. So we'll see if anything changes going into their attack. We're also seeing some interesting choices here. They're having Dill Pickle actually play the Lucio. Bit weird on Kings in general, to be honest. But they are running a pretty close quarters comp. Maybe Dill Pickle just likes playing Lucio. But on the other side, you have a much stronger, I would say, healing line with Vegan on this Mercy. So the attacking side of NYPL has a Resurrect, and so on and so forth. But as we're getting into the fight, the two teams are kind of staging here. Madara getting a good angle. He sees a lot of people are very weak right now, and he wants to try and finish that off if he can, but he's going to struggle with it. Meanwhile, back over there, Thrillhouse will be the first to die. Now, they do have a res if they can afford to get in and get onto his dead body, but I don't think that they're going to be able to. Sides are trading evenly right now, and Thrillhouse will be back pretty soon. But yeah, it's looking like New York's just going to have to take a step back and wait for their guy to return. Madara coming close onto this barrage. In fact, probably one more hit, and there it is. He has it. So now he's just going to be looking for an opportunity, getting in really close, manages to find at least two. Help with the Ryan gets a third, and now Dakilla, even though he might do a bit of damage, he will fall shortly thereafter, and the same can be said about Dill Pickle. Nice hit from Jereves onto the Pharah, but that's going to be about all that he manages to get, really. He sees them down there taking pop shots. He probably wants to get his ultimate a little bit faster, try and help his team get a quick team wipe here as they move on to the streets phase. Polyon also coming up on his tactical visor. It could be really strong here, but Jereves almost falling before the fight even uses any ultimates. Dakilla taking down Thrillhouse, being really aggressive, and now Athena also going in with the Deadeye. They're trying to kill them in their spawn, though, so even though they are going to effectively get a team wipe, it's a bit of a weird one. Apollyon in the background trying to get a pick, but now they know exactly where he is, and he's going to struggle to not get staggered here, really. And there we go, he will fall. Now, he'll be able to get back to his team pretty quick because it's Soldier, and Soldier can run, but you know, it's still something that he would have rather liked not happen. As far as ultimates are coming up here, both Reinhardts have their Earth Shatters, so we'll see if anything much comes of that. And both sides also have a really good sustained support ultimate. One with Dill Pickle's Lucio, and the other with Semi-Pro Spider having the Transcendence. Modern Slaves will be the first to go down, but the res will come out anyway. We see the two teams staging against each other. One Reinhardt goes down. That leaves the door open for the Shatter, which finds 3. He's going to try and keep his team alive, Dill Pickle, with that ultimate, but through all of this damage, and as the ultimate fades away, one support ult will not be enough to save the rest of the Florida squad. NYPL continues to keep doing really well, rolling by in a continuation of their first go-around just a day ago. Do know so, the NYPL basically have no ultimates here. Meanwhile, the enemy side is not afraid to start using theirs quite readily. Myra slays in a duel with Athena, which Madara will eventually win, but ultimately it doesn't really matter. The fight had already been decided by that stage. Now Madara all the way in the backline. He still has his pocket mercy, but again, they're just going to try and struggle to not get staggered here. For the side of Florida is choosing not to chase. They have bigger fish to fry, and the bigger fish is Thrill House. So they're going to be able to stop the push from really being able to come in for quite a little bit longer. Madara is still up in the air, though. These two teams are just kind of seemingly a never-ending fight. Even when one team wins, they never really fully wipe the other, and NYPL as a whole kind of has this weird sort of get behind the enemy strat that's not even flanking, because they're not using flank heroes. Speaking of, Madara coming in from behind with this ultimate, it will find two with the help of the Shatter, and now he's hoping to get the third. 3k for Madara. Athena tries to salvage it with the Deadeye, but only manages to find Semi-Pro. Meanwhile, Madara is still getting up and close, trying to box out this Zarya, while the rest of the NYPL team caps the point. Now he wants to try and take out Dill Pickle. It's looking like he's going to be just fine to catch back up with his team. Not a lot of changes have been coming out here, but Justin Shark is now on the Diva. Fortunately, it's not enough to save the rest of his teammates from Madara on that Pharah. Madara on fire for pretty good reason. As we wind up into this last push, there's still 3 minutes remaining. Madara gets really aggressive on a lot of these attacks. Like, you know, this is kind of a symptom of NYPL's playstyle to begin with, but Madara himself seems to have this weird sort of idea of going in, like pushing right into the enemy team's face, and he still doesn't get punished for it, so I can't really blame him. Decides to ult against Athena when the McCree only has a tiny amount of health, but manages to leverage that onto the enemy, the rest of the enemy team, and get a few picks as well. You keep trying to find Semi-Pro Spider while the Shatter comes out, but so many ultimates are being popped here, all in the vein of NYPL trying to get this last couple of push done. Athena's trying to salvage it with this Deadeye, doesn't even manage to find the Mercy before the Madara Slays takes him out. So many people for the side of Florida have gone down. NYPL not really struggling at all at this point. They have so much time, they just know they have to catch the last couple of stragglers, one of them being Dill Pickle, keeping everyone else alive with his ultimate, but it only lasts for so long. He's still managing to do a pretty good job keeping himself alive, and these picks have not been coming in the way that NYPL wants them to. The enemy team has been able to really regroup. Now they're finally managing to find them, and that'll be good for them. It still should be their capture by the end here, and it finally will be. It took a good bit from NYPL, and good on Florida for surviving as long as they did at the end there, but NYPL will still manage to capture with quite a lot of time remaining, so I don't think they're going to be too upset about that whatsoever. As a whole, it just seems like NYPL's DPS line, they make a lot of very bold decisions, which are mainly salvaged by the back of Thrill House managing to save things in the end, using pretty clutch, for all intents and purposes, shatters, the rest of the team supporting them. But we see it a lot. Madara, in particular, seems to have this very aggressive playstyle where he goes right into the enemy's face and he never gets punished for it. Really, I think that what it comes down to is not necessarily that NYPL is such a strong team in this round. I think it's more so that Florida really doesn't know how to deal with them, like, at all. You know, they try and come up with things like Athena using the Deadeye, but doesn't even manage to find one with it. They try and change on to all the heroes, the stall heroes like the Mei, and they have the Lucio still, and things like that. But regardless, it's still not just doing quite enough. Well, the score is 2-0 because this is still the same holdover game from before. It's just being finished now. This is only the first map, so it's still 2-0 in the NYPL side's favor. NYPL is running a pretty standard defense, and Florida is going to try and counter that with a few heroes that they feel like they're pretty comfortable with. Athena on this Genji. Dreves trying to sneak into the backline as a Sombra. Exposes the enemy Reinhardt, taking out his shield, almost gets punished for it, but manages to get through anyway. Even though they managed to hack the shield, no one was able to really find anything off of it. Now Dreves himself will go down. That's in an unresable position all the way back in the enemy's territory. It seems like Florida is kind of struggling to find a way to engage here. They're kind of struggling to find what is our opening, and now as the ultimates start to come out, Madara having this Dragon Strike coming in, doesn't find anyone, but Justin Shark does get caught out from the rest of his team. The Reinhardt goes in wild, but when you're in that deep, you're not going to get any support. Yeah, NYPL, they managed to stall at the gates for so long that even now, when New York does decide to finally push in, they can just take them out with all these ultimates. Now, conversely, that does mean that Florida now have so many ultimates ready to go without a ton of opposition from the enemy team. But I kind of doubt that that was a strategy. I think it was more just a consequence, and one that's kind of luckily going in the favor of Florida at the moment. Florida still is kind of staging around. They finally managed to get a little bit of push in past that choke point, and now with the first pick, they're going to be looking to find something off of this, but Thrillhouse so close to this Earth Shatter, he wants to try and bring it back around to his team. Athena comes in with a Dragon Blade, but through the healing of the Transcendence won't find much of anything until it manages to cut through two, because the Transcendence was from her own team. Beta Caster, what can I say? In any case, triple kill. They managed to cut through at the very end off the back of using basically, or at least 3 ultimates right then. Pretty impressive for the most part, because they still have 3 going into the next fight on second. Athena's in a bit of a bad position and will go down, but the team isn't really going to be that poorly off because of that, but Dill Pickle falling will be a pretty big consequence for them. It's very easy for the side of NYPL to push in now if they wanted to try and block them off in their spawn doors. But they're choosing not to. They're letting the enemy team regroup, and now To Kill His Shadow will come through, but it doesn't manage to find much of anything, even off the back of that EMP. And now the teams are trading until Thrillhouse decides to take the fight into his own hands. He captures both of the healers off guard with that Shatter, and will basically manage to kill at least half the enemy team almost by himself with very little support. Well done from NYPL. Now he's just kind of standing still, but Dreves will go down. Now if we look at the ultimates here, it's pretty clear which side has the advantage. This is going to be the opportunity for Florida, or for NYPL, to hold them even stronger here with this Grab Dragon combo and with nothing to counter it, since D-Cube doesn't yet have his Transcendence. Question is if they're going to decide to use that quite yet. The Soldier ult is also coming out, but it only manages to find one, really doesn't do a lot of damage to anyone else. Athena is trying to slice through the enemy team with the Dragon Blade, manages to find 2, looking for the 3rd, should find it. Off of the back of that, Florida will get a lot of push onto second, which is what they've been really searching for this entire time. Now as we go into this next fight, which should be the final fight for second point, notice that for whatever reason, NYPL has waited so long to use this Grab Dragon combo as my dogs start yelling in the background. They've decided to use this Grab Dragon combo for so long that D-Cubed now actually has his Zenyatta ult to counter it if need be. Charges come through, as does a slam, but not a lot is going to be made off of that because the kill came out onto him immediately afterwards. Ultimates are being thrown out from both sides and it's looking to go in the way of Florida's direction as they only have 2 more meters to push this point. They're going to make it before the fight even ends. Much to NYPL's chagrin, they're going to have to give up the point, even though it was absolutely possible for them to have taken that fight in the end. Now these two sides are kind of staging a little bit here. Athena does have the Dragon Blade, but being a man down, Florida might want to reconsider if they just want to try and back off here. Athena's still in position, and now that the sound barriers come out, I think that she's looking to try and find an opportunity for it, but the rest of the team is now starting to evacuate. They did kind of choose a bit of a weird time to do it, and the Zen's going to be punished for them waiting so long. Tequila in a bad position as well, and he will go down. Yeah, just kind of a bit of indecision from the side of Florida, leading to kill after kill after kill coming onto their team, but Athena's going to manage to bring it back a little bit more towards their side as their spawns come back into the fight, and she manages to find 2, as well as Justin finding a 3rd. She managed to get res as well, so it's basically a 6v3 right now. Florida's going to want to push in on this. They have a huge advantage right now. They also have their Earth Shatter, meanwhile the enemy team does not, so they're just looking to find anything here. Boop comes out, manages to find the pin of the Moira, and Slam comes down right as the man dies. Athena in this background line also doing a little bit of chip damage, trying to not only finish people off but also get some ultimate charge. The ultimates are coming through, both an EMP and trans, should put the fight heavily in Florida's favor, even though it basically already was with them having such a huge numbers advantage. It'll surprise me quite a lot if Florida can't manage to run this through. Especially now that they have the blade. As soon as Athena pulls this out, I think this is basically going to be over. It gets drawn, finds one, the team finds the baby diva, and no one can even approach the point because they're still in the spawn doors. Well done from both teams. Have similar times, which is certainly better than Florida was doing for the rest of this set. You have to wonder how much you can pin on that basically being Athena being subbed in and managing to win a lot of the fights off of the back of almost her blade alone. I don't want to say that was just her blade, like especially the last fight, Dreves, D-Cubed, their ultimates came into play quite heavily. The Killer also had a few standout moments, even if he might have died shortly thereafter. And now it's going to be the side of Florida getting the first attack as they try and bring things back around into their favor. Now, try and keep in mind what Florida is even really playing for at this point. So, the stage playoffs, it's basically impossible for Florida to get there now. In fact, I would say it is impossible. It is impossible for Florida to get there now. However, that being said, they still do want to get into the end of the regular season playoffs. So every single map is going to matter a lot to them if they want to try and climb back up in the ranks. And they're deciding, we really need to win this, so let's just go Goats. It's a standard Goats composition. They're going to be playing it into something that has the capability of beating Goats, though, if it's played correctly. Pin onto Athena, but the bubble manages to save her life. The fighting is going on in this little side corner over here and is not going in New York's way. The Goats composition is so strong if the fight just gets balled up into a little chaotic mess like that. And we're going to see that as they manage to cap first really quickly. Not even like 30 seconds going through from the round start to them capturing first. Athena's going back into the spawn door. She decides, Goats worked the first time around, but I don't really want to stay that. I'm going to go Genji. Meanwhile, Madara looking to get in behind the enemy team. He's going to run straight face first into Athena. Almost gets taken out for it, but the healing comes through. Dreves also swapping now onto the Sombra. Madara, well, hello. Madara's still probably looking to end this with his Death Blossom as soon as he gets it. He's the only person who's really close to his ultimate on the New York team, so they know how much he needs him to find this, but he just can't through that wall. He does manage to take out Dreves with a little bit of a 2-hit. Now he's just going to be trying to find an opportunity. The numbers are already in his team's favor, but all of the ultimates are coming out from the opposing side. Death Blossom will finally come through, manage to find three, if you count the Diva ult as a person, and it's going to be stopped, although I don't think that Florida is going to be too upset with how far they managed to push it. It's just going to be a big thing for the side of Florida. They really want to take these next two maps. They really want to take it into the map 5 and the overtime, and you can't blame them because, again, like I said, it's so important to them that they actually manage to win this. It's so important to them that they actually manage to find some sort of ground, at least get one match win in the entirety of stage 1, if they want any chance of being able to turn things around. They're not the only team that doesn't have a win yet, but they are the only team that doesn't have a win and has played every single round. So, as far as the actual standings go, they are looking like basically the weakest team that plays in the league, and you know, it's up to them to try and figure out what exactly their problems are and deal with that. And so far, it looks like they might have found a bit of a way to try and do away with that. Now on the side of the attack, NYPL decide, well, the Florida side used goats and it worked for them, so we're going to go the same thing and see if it works for us. But the side of Florida is kind of prepared for this. They're playing the best things that they can in order to deal with this. Dill Pickle is going to be playing this on it. It's a good counter to goats as long as you can land a good purple, and they do. They also have the numbers advantage, so now they're just going to be looking to hunt those kills down. Well done. They managed to repel the Goats comp at first. A lot of that was off the back of Jereves as well, getting the ice wall and isolating the enemy team. Well done. May and Anna both do a really good job of beating Goats, and I'm glad to see both of them here. However, now we're going to see a swap onto the Pharah, something that before Florida has struggled to deal with quite a lot. NYPL is deciding that if we can't beat them with something new, let's try and beat them with something old. And a good boop of Tequila into the Florida team, or into the NYPL team, would be a good start of it. Madara is still coming up behind, wants to finish off the Zen, but this fight's basically over. Such a huge numbers advantage for NYPL. They're going to at least manage to cap first. Really well done from them, and now it's just going to be on Florida to try and win in one fight. Just try and beat them in one singular engagement. They have a really good ult advantage considering they won the first fight, and also they weren't the ones who swapped heroes. The problem for them, though, is that they do not have a lot of space to actually come in and try and recontest this. So even though they have these ultimates, they should basically have 5 by the time that this next fight is over. It's still not going to be a lot of time for them to get into a favorable position to use them. A lot of this is going to come down to probably this Deadeye right here managing to find the Mercy. The Mercy cannot res herself, but a good Shatter and a good Barrage combo will do a really good job of putting things back in the team's favor of NYPL. The Bomb and the Icicles managed to find the enemy team, though. Dreves trying to turn this back around with basically the Blizzard alone, and it looks like this is going to be the end of NYPL. Florida is going to take a map. Finally, 2-1, Florida takes Kings. Good job from them. Madara did have a lot of great plays that entire time. I'd also like to point out, you might have missed this, but Madara kind of got a little bit screwed at the very end there. He was barraging onto the side of Florida, and he had 4 people in his sightline that he could barrage. However, Thrill House actually booped 2 people out of the way by charging into them. He basically booped the enemy team into safety. Now, he managed to help secure those kills in the first place, but it's very possible that had they not been booped away from the barrage, that NYPL would have just won that round off of the 4K barrage. So it's going to be unfortunate for them. However, we are still keeping things competitive. And now NYPL, as I've been so lovingly reminded by a friend of mine in the chat, is basically going to still be stuck in 5th place, even if they go on to win this next map and the entire set. We're going to go on to Route 66. I like this map quite a lot. Doesn't look like anyone is telling me. Yeah, it doesn't look like anyone's telling me to hold up. So I'm just going to assume that we're good to go right into map 4. Florida's looking to reverse sweep here. Like I said, they just want a win. They just want to get at least one win here in Stage 1. They will still have one more weekend to do that, yes. But they want it to be here. Now that they've got a bit of momentum, and maybe with the substitutes included, a team that's capable of at least beating New York. It's a pretty big order, though. They're going to have to win 2 maps in a row. It's probably not. Florida's an underrated team. Agree to disagree. I think that Florida is a team with a lot of potential. Florida is a team with a ton of potential that we have not seen bloom yet. And I think that until they manage to kind of find a bit of an identity as a team, like, they have a really strong tank line. They have a good support line. They have a good offense line. Like, a lot of Florida is so theoretically strong, but unless you're able to patch that into a map win, or into a couple of game wins, it's really not going to amount to much in the end. Now we're going to see side of Florida on the defense. They're running a pretty standard sort of defense here. They have 2 hit scans, 2 people who can theoretically take out a Farah, which is probably what they're expecting the opposing side to run. But that's not going to be the case. NYPL is actually running Apollyon on the Hamster, something that usually only one team in the league, Shanghai, sees fit to run. But I like the idea of it. Hamster's really strong on this map and on payload maps in general. He's going to be playing it into a Sombra, though, so that is going to make things a little bit harder for them, but he manages to knock everyone off of the high ground. Really good, puts the positioning completely on equal footing. Now that the entire enemy team is bunched up like this, the side of NYPL has a huge advantage. Apollon's doing a bit of chip damage to the Reinhardt, but he manages to confirm the kill onto the Sombra. This is going NYPL's way. Apollon wants to help finish off this Moira. Not a bad call. If they could just manage to have confirmed that kill, and he's still going for it. So close, but the shield and the healing ball comes out. Now, Apollon is coming up on this minefield ultimate. That should be enough to basically confirm them getting at least a first, and I think he knows that. He wants to take out support if he can, and now he walks back onto the point. As soon as he can get up from being in this stunned place, he's taking such a beating right now. Just kind of standing still, hacked. Thea's using this tactical visor, manages to find a 3K. D.Va's not managing to stop her whatsoever, but the monkey will. It's now going to be a case of, can NYPL manage to finally cap the point? Things have gone pretty evenly in the fight so far, mainly off of the back of the ultimates that were used. Thrillhouse will find the ability to use his Primal Rage. It's finally returned to him, but still in such a huge advantage for the side of Florida. Finally, the minefields will come out. The question is it going to find anyone? It manages to find Dreves, not a bad place to start, and because no one can go onto the point because of the minefields, it will finally go the way of New York. Good job from them. It took a bit, but it took a bit, and basically every single ultimate that they had on NYPL's side, they do still have Madara with Madara coming up on his Doomfist Slam. They're basically going to be playing that against 3 ultimates, so it's still going to be a little bit of a struggle. Apollyon swinging into action, but not actually swinging into any one, so not much benefit there. Madara also trying to duel Athena on this Brigitte. He's coming close to the kill, and he wants to finish it off. He gets stunned, boop, hack. He does find the kill onto one support. Now he's chasing another down with the support of his Winston. They're basically going to win the fight off of the back of that. Dreves is still up in the air, but he doesn't have much in the way of support. This Dammit Duck is just going to chase him down, but if Madara doesn't get the kill first. They want to take out the Reinhardt all the way in the back line. Tequila extended quite far away from the rest of his team. That's basically the story of Florida on the second point. All in separate places, all doing different things instead of playing together as a unit and as a team. That's going to make it impossible for them to get a recontest onto the second point. 4.5 minutes now for NYPL to make it all the way to third, and now the ult situation has completely reversed in their favor. They basically have 6 ultimates now, whereas before they were just struggling by with 1. Thrillhouse knows he can survive anything because of the Primal Rage, so he wants to get in deep. He doesn't even need it to find Athena. The Graviton will come out, as will Dreves' Justice from above. The bomb manages to still find 2, as well as Apollyon's ultimate finding 3. How is this still going in New York's favor, even after all of that? It's basically just Vigano for a little bit until finally his team has re-emerged. It's gotta sting if you're the Florida side, committing so much and still not managing to survive through the bomb and the minefield. Ultimates are coming from both sides. Still seems to be basically going in favor, though, as the slam comes down of Florida. However, Killer will actually die. They're still kind of trading somewhat evenly, but finally Florida is managing to secure things in a bit of a more sincere way. Athena pulling out the blade when it's a bit unnecessary, but I guess there's a couple of points where I would have said that already, where it's turned out that Florida has absolutely needed to make sure that they didn't just win the fight, that they won the war. There's still 3 minutes left to go. However, both sides are pretty drained on ult economy, so it would surprise me if we saw a cap anytime soon until someone like Apollyon or Dammit Duck can get kind of a quote-unquote game-winning ultimate. Apollyon swinging in, bit of a miss-swing, so he doesn't manage to get the slam down, but the rest of his team is still engaging with this triple tank dive composition. It's a really strong, really aggressive dive, and it manages to find one to start with. They're going after D-Cube now, or at least one of them is. They manage to finally melt her. Look at how chaotic things are going for this entire fight, but the thing is that NYPL's squad just benefits from chaos. This is legitimately the Shanghai strat. They're legitimately running the Shanghai strat, and it's working so well for them for the same reason that it works so well for Shanghai. If you make things chaotic and you make it so that all of your heroes benefit from that chaos and the enemy team doesn't, you're in such a strong position. However, Dreves manages to find 4 with his barrage. The trades will still come through, but it is going to be Florida holding still. Make no mistake about that. However, being so close to the end here now, it's even easier for even a single ultimate, especially this minefield, to just win the game for NYPL. If Apollyon manages to get onto the point right now and just litter it with a minefield until he gets trapped, so doesn't find any ult charge and basically gets melted like the giant ult battery that the hamster ball can be. Basically, if Apollyon managed to find that minefield ultimate and his team weren't all horrifically dying one after the other at the moment, then it would be such a strong position to just take the point because no one would be able to approach. Few people are melted here. Vigano is doing a really good job of finding kills with the support ultimate, and can't blame him for it. It's really good at just kind of melting people down when able, but look at this. This is so weird. For the past like 30 seconds or so, it's not even been a real fight. It's kind of just been 2 teams stagnating on the point, just throwing an ultimate here or there when they think it's necessary, but there's no real engagements. There's no real timings or executions here. And we see that now, like, basically New York have burned everything. That instead of waiting until they had a few ultimates or even seemingly going in with a plan to begin with, they've just had this huge problem of now they have basically nothing, and it would surprise me if they managed to find much in the way of ultimates too quickly. Apollyon, once again, caught in a trap, and now the Reaper ultimate will manage to find two and help finish off the third. Yeah, this is going to be Florida managing to hold before the enemy squad manages to make it onto the third capture point. Thrillhouse going to be knocked back, finally executed. Well done from Florida. And now it's just going to be on them trying to make it all the way to the end. Not badly done, but they still do basically have to make it all the way to third. The side of New York managed to get it within basically a meter of the end, so for all intents and purposes, this is still the whole round that the Florida side is going to have to win. And based off of past experiences, they've shown that they can absolutely do that. The question is how well they'll be able to this time around. It's going to be on Florida to try and convince everyone that their previous capture on Kings was not just a fluke, but that it was in fact a sincere showing of the skills that they are acquiring. I like Dill Pickle on the Ana. He's now swapped on to Lucio, so rip me. He's now swapped on the Ana, so rip me. But I do like Dill Pickle on the Ana, at least on Kings. He seemed to be pretty good at what he was doing, and the team managed to win the round, so certainly can't blame them. They did a good job of shutting down Goats. It'd be kind of weird if they expected the enemy side to run Goats comp here, but, it'd be interesting at the very least. This time around, it seems like both sides are kind of deciding to run pretty standard stuff here. NYPL decided that the triple tank dive was a fun idea on attack, and it got them pretty far, but on defense, they'd rather just run the Reinhardt and Zarya. Thrillhouse now actually not on the main tank role, which usually you would expect from him. He's decided to cede that to Apollyon. Now the two teams just going to be looking to find an opening onto each other. Florida kind of running dive. It's a bit of a weird composition. They basically have two off healers kind of substituting Lucio as a main healer, which you can do, but in dive is kind of weird because people usually aren't going to be all that grouped up, at least in the kind of weird sort of spread out dive that they're doing now, and we see that as their tanks both begin to fall. Yeah, you just have an altogether stronger composition on the New York side. They have so many more opportunities to just instantly delete their opponents. You have the Hanzo who can headshot, the McCree who can flashbang right click, flashbang fan the hammer, Dammit Duck who's a Brigitte, so obviously has one of the best burst damage combos in the game, support by the way. We're going to see that Florida now kind of recognize this as they swap onto more of a standard composition themselves. Athena's trying to go up and back around. Bit of an interesting decision. Does get caught out. It's weird to try to play this Tracer into the Brigitte and the Hanzo and the McCree, three things that theoretically can basically one-shot her, but maybe she's decided that it's the best thing that she can do. The side of Florida is still falling here, and they're really struggling to find any sort of traction, even now that they're playing something that's theoretically more standard for the situation. And the advantage for NYPL is just going to get ramped up as we see how many ultimates are coming up on and how many ultimates the opposing side does not have. Athena's now swapped onto a Junkrat, which has the possibility of working, but it gets shut down by a lot of what the enemy team's running. NYPL is going to force the side of Florida to stagger even longer as they manage to find two. Armored up, Madara Slays finds a third. Like, do you understand this is just such a terrible position for Florida to be in, where they can't even seem to get grouped up in their spawn without getting killed by this thing or that thing or that thing or another. And even after all this, even as now they only have a minute and a half left, they're still making these swaps and they're still kind of struggling to find any ultimates. Dill Pickle and Tequila both have theirs, and the rest of the team is coming up on theirs, but it's still a bit of a struggle. Tequila getting melted, only has 102 health. Semi-Pro Spire did basically waste the Dragon ult, so that is a pretty good victory for the side of Florida, but even still, like, Thrill House having this Graviton with no real enemy ability to stop a team wipe, even Dragon or not, is still a good place for NYPL to be in. Slams come down, but the counter slam basically makes its way through anyway. Like, it's just a side of Florida not managing to find any footing whatsoever. It's a complete stomping. They have to make it all the way to third, and with 30 seconds left, they haven't even made it halfway to first. They do have 3 ultimates here to try and crack things open. I think they're going to be depending on that pretty heavily. They're also playing into 3 ultimates, so it's not going to be a fun place to start with. The Tires comes through, and it's going to manage to find 2, so that's actually a really good start for them. One of them will probably end up being res, but with the third dying, that's going to be still a good numbers advantage for the side of Florida. They're finally managing to find a little bit of traction. Dragon comes out, only manages to injure Tequila, but kills Dreves. Even after doing such a good job and managing to actually get some of the kills that they needed to get this entire time, they're still struggling to find value with some of these ultimates. They're still struggling to actually survive against this sort of all-encompassing attack the NYPL is pulling on them. The fight's going a bit long, so it's going to give a little bit of time for the side of Florida to kind of reconvene, but it's ultimately going to be for naught by the looks of it. Their numbers continue to fall with absolutely no respite. Dreves is shooting down onto this massive bodies, getting a lot of ult charge, getting a lot of damage, but Madara will still find the kill in the end, as he does on Tequila. The overtime wick will burn down eventually. All Athena can try and be is a gnat in the side of NYPL's side. NYPL will win 3-1. Well done from them. Dreves managing to find, I believe this was a 4 or 5k barrage. It was basically necessary for him to find this. Yeah, it was a 5k barrage. It was necessary for him to find that in order for the team to hold on as well as they did, but still ended up not being quite what they needed. Florida will manage to take 1 map, but that's all. Still a winless team, unfortunate for them, and really, it's not even that much of a victory for NYPL either. They managed to get a 3-1, but they still won't move up in the standings. It will improve their map differential, clearly, but some teams have been hoping to use some of these lower teams for a bit better of a boost. So who really wins here? Florida just goes lower, and NYPL doesn't go up as much as they would like to. So all around for both these teams, I think both of them, even though NYPL won, are going to be kind of upset about how it had to happen. Now, I'm going to interview one person from both sides. I'll go ahead and interview Thrill because he's team leader. And as for Florida, I'll interview Tequila. So I'll go ahead and try and get Thrill in first. We'll see, and I'll probably try Semi-Pro. If he doesn't, then Vigano. Just kind of gotta go down the list. And now I go to the Discord. Three sub Florida. How's that Florida? Okay, so three people are subbing in for Florida. Yeah, so I assume Athena, Dill, and someone else who I don't know. As we still just wait here for someone to join. 2 a.m., bro. I gotta be shushed for my roommate to have normal sleep pattern. Oh, god damn it, Thrill. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and just start with Florida then, I guess. Cool. We're already in comp. They're playing comp. New York is playing a comp game right now. Okay. Alright, well, invitation sent to Tequila. Cool. Guess we're not interviewing New York this time. Hello.
Who am I talking to today?
It would be me. Trivia. Hello.
Yo, what's going on, Trivia?
Uh, it's uh, it's all right. You set it up so that you can, your voice can be
Did I
heard
not?
on stream.
Did I? I thought I fixed that already.
I mean, you might have. I'm just asking.
With a loud voice, you're to be shared, always allow. Yep, it's cool.
All right. Okay. So, your team, even though they managed to find the map on Kings, did end up not taking it in the end. What do you think might have been the problem throughout that set?
So I wasn't here actually for the first two games
Mhm.
because personal problems always happens, comes up, yada yada
Mhm.
yada. But
Yeah,
in
sure.
the second map, we only had three Florida players, so it's kind of hard to do anything really. To be honest with you, I was gonna just come in here and just get the two games done with. I didn't want to do a forfeit and get the 4-0, but we came in here, we won a game. I was super happy for how our three Florida players played, and I'm thankful that Athena, Justin, Shark, and for my third already. Wow, okay. But the three stubs that we had, I'm very thankful they set for us and helped us get that one win on Kings Row.
Mhm. So, yeah, I can understand that. Just kind of like, this isn't one we're normally meant to play. Let's just do it because we don't want to forfeit. I get that. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but other than that, I mean, did anyone tell you anything about the first two games, or have you watched the VOD or anything like that?
I haven't watched the VOD. As I just was told, we got rolled. We just got
Oof.
demolished, and that's not. So I'm doing my business, and I get added on Discord like, hey, you need to hop on. We're something happened. We're not playing. We've been sitting for 20 minutes, and whatever happened for that, it's figured out. And we decided to play the last two games, and I mean, I'm happy with the result. I think we played pretty good with the one game, and hopefully next week we can pull out a W and finish the season out, the stage out good.
Yeah, just looking to find at least one before the first stage ends, and hopefully by stage two and three get a little bit more of a grind going. I get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope. Thanks for coming on. Sorry you couldn't be there for the first two rounds, and unfortunate for all of us that we had to come back and do this when none of us were really ready for it. But well, we
Yeah.
got it
I mean,
done.
it was fun.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
it was very
alright.
fun. Yeah.
Saw a bit
All
of
right.
hamster. I'm always okay with that.
Yeah, there we go. All right, thank you.
Adios. And now I guess I invite Semi Pro Spire to the party because he like jokingly said in the Discord that yeah. So I mean I assume that this is Semi Pro Spire. I assume that Contemplation is Semi Pro because he's acting like he is. Yeah. Yeah, that's him. Okay. It's pretty sure so. That's why I gave out the invite. Hello.
Hello, hello,
Hello. So
hello, dude.
your team won the 3-1 despite a few accusations which we won't get into. Uh,
Okay.
your team managed to do pretty well. Now I wasn't here for the first two maps, uh, so anything that you could kind of enlighten us on about what you feel you guys did so well the first two.
Well, the first map we really felt like we didn't play our best.
Hmm.
Um, Athena really did well on the Genji. And we kind of just didn't have our comps together. We There was a Mei that we called to kill, and it just so happened that there was like a boop, and that's why we lost King's Row. It's just one tiny little play. Route 66, we run the triple tank dive, and
Hmm.
that comp is pretty good
The
on the
Shanghai
first two
strat,
points.
yeah.
As you see, the comp's really good on the first 2 points, but on the third point it falls apart, especially when Athena she swaps to the Reaper, then they swap to Junkrat, right? Yeah, Junkrat at the very end. Um, there was just some miscommunication between us. That's something we'll clear up. But other than that, we felt like we played pretty well. And GG's to Florida too. Thanks
Yeah,
for sticking it out.
I'd say you guys did pretty well. Now, speaking in general, you are probably, uh, I'm going to say, at least one of the top two Zens in the league. I put you up there with at least one other. Um, so, any particular reason why you think that might be the case? Because I've seen you duel Widowmakers and win, like, consistently, and I don't understand that.
Well, I appreciate your praise. What you want to know? Like my secret is as to why I play really well on Zen, or
Well, I mean, if you have an actual sort of odd trade secret, then I suppose that would be interesting. But
well,
mainly, the point I was making was you seem like in a meta which really does not support Zen anymore. You still
hmm
managed to be really successful with him.
yeah. Well, I mean, I played a lot on Zen. He's really the character that got me good at the game. Um, I probably have over 500 hours on Zen, like, across Xbox and PC and all that stuff. And really, it is tough. Like, don't make it like it may seem easy, but it's not. It's not. There's so many things that can kill you, so many stuns, and I mean just Moira orbs, all kinds of things, and really his healing isn't that good. But he's still what makes Zen what you can get away with if you can do enough damage on Zen. Is you have that ultimate, which is so good. You have trance, and you
Hmm.
can counter so much. You can counter up to like 3 enemy ultimates with it. You can counter an EMP, a Grav, and a Genji blade. Like it's crazy. And it's all about cycling your orbs. Really,
Hmm.
making sure somebody has orb at all times. Who has it? Um, Discord as well. I try to shot call as well as I can for the team because like if you're not shooting the person who's discorded, then what are you doing, right?
Hmm.
But yeah, you mind who's the other Zen put up there?
The other Zen that I would put up there, let me think about it, because hold on. It was
I've heard
someone
a lot of
who
praise about Ithbon.
Ithbon's good. The thing is that I haven't casted a game with Ithbon in a while, so I actually haven't seen him in a good minute. So I don't actually think that that's necessarily who I was thinking of. I think I might actually hold on. I'm bringing it up here. It was from I wrote a write up that I guess the coaches saw, and maybe they put in their discords, maybe they didn't. It would surprise me if they did, but it was basically something for the new casters, which was like, here are players to look out for, and stuff like that. And
Okay.
and of course you were one of the people who made the list. Let me see. I think did I put? Yeah, it looks like maybe Cybersaurus is one of the people who I considered. I don't know why I considered him at that time, but if I put him there when
No,
I did,
Cyber's good.
Cyber's good. Yeah. So Cyber is one of the people up there. A lot of people say Ithbon, which maybe. Like I said, I haven't cast a game with Ithbon in a while. Drizzly says Thrash, but I think that of all the people who, like basically everyone throws someone into the ring, but the one consistent person so far seems to be you, which I think deserves some sort of praise in some way, shape, or form, which I think I've now we've pretty properly finished with.
That,
yeah.
Oh,
So,
absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate it. It's good to feel. I mean, I don't. Healers don't exactly get a lot of recognition in casting, and I understand casting super hard because I've tried it. Oh my god, dude! Like, I don't know how you guys do it. Shit's hard.
Right, it is
difficult.
It is.
And yeah, it definitely it feels good. I appreciate your praise, man.
Yeah. Hey, yeah. You know that casting's hard. I know that playing's in hard. We both know that we're good at what we do. So,
yeah, right.
TLDR, you're a good Zen because you're a good Zen. You'll love to see it. Well, in any case, that's basically it for me. Time to go spend the next 6 hours doing homework. Adios, everyone on the stream. Adios, semi-pro.
All right, wait, I have one thing to say. One more thing.
Of course.
All right, free DHFQ.
Free DHFQ. Free him.
Free DHFQ. That's all I got. Free him.
DHFQ.
Sam trying to apologize.
Sam.
All right, we won't get into that.
Yeah, we won't get into that.
He told me that if in order to do the interview, I have to say that. So.
God. Free
Fair play on
DHFQ.
him.
DHFQ did nothing wrong. Alright, that's it for me. Adios, everyone.